Hey guys, welcome back to Buzzer to Buzzer. Alrighty guys, so today is May 22nd, and you know what that means, that the NBA playoffs are officially beginning. After a long 2021 season, we are finally able to reach the point in which this number of regular season games was not only cut down, but we have reached a stage where not only the 1 through 8 seeds are set, but as we're speaking, some games are about to get started. So today we're going to be going over the Eastern and Western Conference in two separate videos, but today to get started off with the Eastern Conference, talking about the 4 matchups going on in the East. To get started off with the first matchup between the first and 8 seeds, guys, the one which has been going on, a feud between two superstars, that of course being between the 76ers and the Washington Wizards. Russell Westbrook versus Joel Embiid. Guys, the headlines are coming through with that. Our thoughts on who will be taking home this first round series.
This is definitely going to be Philly. Philadelphia just has a lot more depth with Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris, Joel Embiid. They have much more size, a lot more size than the Wizards. They're going to dominate the paint, and I just don't think Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal will have enough. They just want to score enough points to beat Philly.
Yeah, there's a reason that the 76ers are the number 1 seed in the East. They're a great team. They have some great players. And, the Wizards just in this – and, the Wizards just, they just made it out of the play-in tournament into the playoffs. So, I don't really know how much they can do against a team like the 76ers. It's a pretty good team. Okay, so, yeah, I'm going to say that the Sixers are going to get this win.
Yeah, no, the 76ers, they've shown that they're the best team in the East. Maybe the Nets, when they're fully healthy, can definitely, compete with them. But right now, they've had the health. They've been doing it all season. I don't see any reason why the Washington Wizards would be capable of even beating them in 2 games. So, for me, it seems like a very easy pick to take the 76ers here.
Exactly, guys. They played 3 times against each other. We've all seen the memes of Russell Westbrook and Joel Embiid going at it. It's going to be fun to watch. But other than that, 76ers should have this in a wrap. They won the 3 games in the regular season. I expect Joel Embiid to show the top 3 MVP candidate, right? Him, Nikola Jokic, along with Steph Curry. He's going to show off what he can do. Nothing much more to talk about here. Him and Ben Simmons can get the job done. Alrighty, guys, now moving on towards the second matchup going on in the Eastern Conference, that being between a team which none of us expected to be here at this point, the 4th seed, New York Knicks, going up against a young, Trae Young-led Atlanta Hawks. Guys, our thoughts on who will be taking home the series?
I'm going to go with the Knicks here. I think both teams are – I would say both teams are pretty surprising to make the playoffs and be this high ranked in the seeds. Knicks, they have Julius Randle, who's a player who's insane right now. Derrick Rose, RJ Barrett, who's also been doing pretty good this year as well. So they just have a lot more depth and a lot more players who are consistently good than the Hawks, who I just think that their main superstar, like you said, Ryan, is Trae Young. And obviously they have some other good players as well, but the Knicks just have more depth and they have more talent, so I'm going to go with them.
Yeah, I think the best player on the court is on the Knicks, Julius Randle, and so they have lots of depth as well. They have RJ Barrett. D Rose has been playing really well this year. On the Hawks, Trae Young, Clint Capella, but other than that, I don't see much for the Hawks. I don't see enough firepower to beat the Knicks, so I'll take the Knicks in this series.
A lot of people are underrating the Hawks in this series. They're not giving them enough credit. They're a 5 seed for a reason, and they don't understand the value of Trae Young and the way they play basketball. They play sort of a lineup that centers around him and his teammates getting up a lot of shots, and Clint Capella is kind of getting the boards over all the other centers. He's one of the better rebounders in the league. He doesn't get enough credit for that. That being said, I still have the Knicks winning. I think their style of offense, very slow-paced basketball, is really good, and I personally have them over the Atlanta Hawks.
If somebody told me that I would be picking between the Knicks and Hawks coming to a playoff matchup, I would call them crazy. But now, honestly, looking at the chair which Julius Randle has put on, I think he's a lock for not only most improved player of the year, but I think he should maybe even, if he kept that up more, could have even snuck into the MVP conversation race even more. But it's crazy the season he's had. Tom Thibodeau leading these Knicks, Madison Square Garden, I think is sold out. The whole series is sold out, and it deserves it. The New York Knicks making their franchise much more marketable, and I expect this series to be a tough one. I'm not going to say the Knicks are going to roll over the Hawks because Trae Young, I believe a lot in him. He's a great. We've seen a player who he's becoming, transpiring into, and I can see this easily going to 7 games. But in that 7th game, Madison Square Garden will be rocking with fans, and the Knicks will pull away. All right, guys, I'm moving on towards the third playoff matchup we got going on in the Eastern Conference. That, of course, being a rematch from last year between the Milwaukee Bucks, led by Giannis Antetokounmpo, against the Miami Heat, led by Jimmy Butler. Now, guys, we saw the run which the Miami Heat made last year, and this year again, they are the 6th seed. The Bucks are the 3rd seed. Our thoughts on who will be walking away the champ in the series?
I think this is probably going to be the closest series in the first round, at least in the Eastern Conference. We saw the Miami Heat upset the Bucks last year. I think they won 5 or 6 games. I think this year, the Miami Heat aren't as good as they were last year. I think the bubble really helped them. So I'll take the Bucks in this one, but I think it could easily go to a 6 or even 7 game series. But I think Giannis and the addition of Drew Holiday really helps them in the series.
Yeah, I was also going to say that this matchup is incredibly close. Both teams are great right now, and I agree with Ariel when he said that the Heat just don't look as good as they did last year, obviously. The injuries, some players just haven't been as good, and the bubble helped too, in my opinion. So I think that the Bucks are going to win this one, but it's going to be very close, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Heat took the win.
I said this when we were halfway through making our award game predictions. A lot of people were underrating the Heat, where Jimmy Butler, where this whole team was, because of their slow start. They're coming off one of the longest seasons in the East, right? They have the shortest rest. So coming into the season, they're going to be very injury prone. Since the All-Star break, they've had lack of injuries on their whole team. They've been performing at a high level, and they've actually been boosting through the Eastern Conference standings. And so for them to say that they're actually a true 6 seed, I'd honestly say they're more of a 4, possibly even a 3 seed if they're actually at their full potential all season. They've had the time to recover. They've had their injuries that have been fixed over time. And for Drew Holiday, he is a better player than Bledsoe was in that offense. But then again, that Bucks team does not match up well against Miami Heat. Bam Adebayo is a really good defensive presence to stop Giannis in the paint. And besides that, Duncan Robinson, he poses a big threat for that Milwaukee Bucks defense because they don't have anyone on that team that can guard him. And so for me, it's going to be an easy series for the Miami Heat to take.
There's a part of me which wants to go with the Heat, but this year, seeing the way the Bucks have been playing with the addition of Drew Holiday off the pick and roll and seeing the completeness of the team, it's always a tough decision because we've seen the past 2 years what Giannis has done in the playoffs. He is not phenomenal in the playoffs. The regular season, he's hands down a great player. But this time, I am going to be taking the Milwaukee Bucks to advance over the Miami Heat. It's going to be a tough series. Jimmy Butler, I expect him and the young squad to go out once again, give their all the efforts. But at the end of the day, I'm going to go with the Bucks winning in probably 6 games. Alrighty, guys, and now moving on towards the last matchup going down in the Eastern Conference, this being between the Brooklyn Nets against a young Boston Celtics team who just snuck in through the play-in games. Guys, our thoughts between the three-headed monsters and this young team?
I think out of all the matchups in this Eastern Conference, I think this is probably the most lopsided one. The Celtics just haven't looked like the Celtics all year. Kemba Walker's been injured; he hasn't looked the same. Jason Tatum is really good, and then when he got hit with COVID, he hasn't been the same until just recently. So I think the Celtics are a bit young. I think the Nets have too much firepower on that offense, and they'll just outscore the Celtics every single time.
Yeah, like Rayon said, like the three-headed monster, that offense is just crazy right now. The thing is, I feel like it's hard to say how far the Nets will go if we're going to talk about the rest of their series because we haven't seen, or we've rarely seen all 3 of their players, KD, Kyrie, and James Harden, play at the same time and see how they play with each other. But I think against the Celtics, like you said, they just sunk in. The team hasn't been looking as good as they were last year, and I think that they're going to make a first-round exit.
Yeah, no, it's going to come down to how fast can the Nets beat the Celtics. We know Jason Tatum, like he did in the play-in game, might come out and drop 40, 45 points, help them win one game. But we know even if all 3, KD, Harden, and Kyrie, aren't playing that game, 2 of them can come out and easily destroy the Celtics by 20 points. And so for me, it's looking at can this series prove that they have the help to move on throughout the playoffs? And with that in mind, the Nets will easily win this in 5 or 6 games.
Exactly, guys. I think the Nets, they're like some 20th or 20 to 30th rank for defense, but that defense doesn't really matter when you got Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden running your offense. I think that, like Archie said, Jason Tatum, he might pull up again 50 points. You never know. He's got a lot of talent, but 1 game max. I think this is going to be a quick, easy series for the Nets. We might not even see all these 3 players playing together as much as we need to. I can totally see Steve Nash resting these guys for much more important series to come down in the future. But like already said, easy series, the Nets, easy to go. Alrighty, guys, what's thoughts on the Eastern Conference playoff matchups? There's a bunch to see, and there's some good series, but some lopsided ones going on as well. But as always, we'll be covering all of them as more results come about. Guys, as always, take care. Hit the like button, subscribe, and comment down below your thoughts on who will advance. We'll see you guys in the next one.